Hello, and welcome to the TrustMark Initiative webinar of the Open Voice Network for Wednesday, March 29th, 2023. This webinar is being recorded. It started on time and it will end on time, and it's being conducted in accordance with the antitrust guidelines of the Linux Foundation. And now a brief introduction to the TrustMark Initiative from several of our regular contributors.
The Open Voice Network's ethical guidelines document is the foundation of the TrustMark Initiative. The guidelines provide actionable steps enterprises and organizations can take to create ethical experiences, but the TrustMark Initiative provides useful tools such as a training course and self-assessment checklist to help implement the ethical guidelines throughout the entire design process and measure the success of the implementation. These tools have the power to affect real change, and I'm excited to see the impact of the initiative.
Especially now that you look at technologies like ChatGPT and others that have now entered the public consciousness for the first time, the concept of trust and entities, both individual persons and businesses, being able to trust this technology is paramount to the growth of that. And we're excited to be able to work with the Open Voice Network to make this a reality through the TrustMark program that we believe will add that additional layer of trust, as you will, to conversational AI, so everybody who uses this technology know that it's safe, it can be trusted, and more importantly, that their data can be protected.
Several years ago, when we were discussing what would become in time the Open Voice Network, one of our wise advisors paused and said, for this technology to be widely adopted, voice must become worthy of user trust. Now, it's worthy of our trust. It's worthy of our confidence in the respect of rights and the promotion of positive societal values. It's worthy of our trust. It's worthy of our confidence in the practices of data acquisition and data use. It's worthy of our trust and confidence in the application of the best practices of ethical AI to conversational AI. Worthy of user trust means it's worthy of your trust. The TrustMark Initiative is a strategic priority of the Open Voice Network. We are delighted today for you to join us in the launch of this very important effort.
Hello, and welcome to the Open Voice Network TrustMark Initiative launch. I am Oita Coleman, Senior Advisor at the Open Voice Network. I lead the ethical use and privacy and security portfolio and am currently Chief Spearhead of the TrustMark Initiative. We are so excited to have you here today and to share with you our vision for a more trustworthy and ethical voice ecosystem. The TrustMark Initiative is a collaborative effort to create an ethical framework for conversational AI that adhere to high standards of privacy, security, transparency, and accessibility. By being here today, you are taking an important step towards becoming part of the initiative and making a positive impact on the voice industry and society. Thank you for your interest and your participation. And as a bonus, everyone who completes the webinar will receive a free TrustMark sticker that you can proudly display on your device or website. Something along the lines of, I participated in the TrustMark launch and all I got is this lousy sticker. So opt in, send me an email, note in chat, and we'll make sure that you receive this item. So we hope that you enjoy the webinar and learn something new today and make some new friends. So joining me today, and we will start by going through the agenda. So joining me today are individuals, organizations, and members of the Open Voice Network community. Let's walk through the agenda. We will start with Valeria Barbero, who is, she serves as the co-moderator of the Ethical Use Task Force and is global client lead at Mother Tongue. She will share details about the initiative. Then we will have industry perspective from James Poulter. And following that will be our guiding principles, a celebration with Janice Mendel and Melanie Monique. And of course, Q&A, a discussion at the end, an interactive discussion. Would love to hear your thoughts, your questions. So we will have Q&A at the end. Feel free to put your questions in the Q&A section and share your comments in chat. So let's get started. Valeria Barbero, co-moderator of the Ethical Use Task Force and Global Client Lead at Mother Tongue, will share details about the initiative. Welcome, Valeria.
Thank you, Oita. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. And thank you for your interest in how to design and release trustworthy conversational AI products. Nathan, can we bring up the slides? Thank you. So what the Open Voice TrustWork initiative consists of is a set of tools that will help you design and create conversational products that are ethically responsible. They will help you understand the requirements, evaluate where you are in your ethical compliance journey, and will provide support so that you don't jeopardize your customers' trust by releasing products that are or are perceived to be undermining any of the commonly accepted ethical standards. Can we move to the next slide, Nathan? Thank you. So as you can see, there are different tools that are meant to work together. The tools that we have created will help companies and organizations integrate ethical principles that are at the basis of our work in a way that will gain and maintain users' trust. In terms of the ethical principles, the TrustMark Initiative is anchored to our ethical guidelines that are now in the 2nd edition. And they provide a comprehensive set of principles that are aligned with the commonly accepted principle for ethical AI, but are also aligned with, the main legal framework on a global scale, actually. Our guidelines also contain a lot of practical suggestions on actionable ideas on how to integrate ethics from the design level all the way through the release. At the Open Voice Network, we don't think that sound business decisions and sound ethical decisions are at odds, but rather we believe it's a matter of aligning decision-making and design to incorporate ethical standards from the start and ensuring they become embedded in the company's values and get reflected in all the processes and governance. So, what exactly do we have in our toolbox that can help you build and release ethically compliant voice and conversational AI products? First off, we have the website. Can we move to the next slide, Nathan? Thank you. So the website is going to be integrated in the Open Voice Network website and will be a centralized source of information for the entire initiative. Here you will find information and links to the ethical guidelines. You will find updated information on the courseworks and on the self-assessment tools. The second tool that we offer, and we can move to the next one, is the training courses. Now, the training courses are an opportunity for you to learn and gain confidence in how ethical principles can and should be embedded in conversational and voice products from the very first step. There are a lot of decisions that are taken during the first ideation phase that will impact how you design and how you develop your products. Examples of tangible learnings on these courses are understanding what the stakes are when it comes to ethical risks for the company and evaluating the benefits, identifying who the internal stakeholders should be, learning how to effectively train and keep everyone in the company updated and informed about ethical changes in legislation, in approach, and in how society and customers react. how to manage third-party integrations, making sure you don't jeopardize your ethical standards when you implement, third-party integrations. So the other very important learning that you will gain from the courses is how the peculiarities of voice and conversational technology play out in ethical standards space, and how you need to ensure you have the right the right setup for this type of technology. As you might know, voice data can reveal particularly sensitive information about users. So it really requires special handling when it comes to privacy, bias, transparent communication, governance, etc. So all of this will be covered during the course. The next instrument, and we can move on to the next slide. The next instrument we've put together is a self-assessment checklist and maturity model. This is a tool designed to give you a good perspective of where you are in your ethical compliance journey and what are the areas where you might need to realign or you might need to improve so that your products, your company are aligned with the mainstream approaches. Like with the rest of the TrustMark initiative, the spirit of the self-assessment is to ensure that your user and your customers feel confident about your products. So we have a list of questions that will capture different aspects of how our guidelines apply to your organizational structure, to your practices, and how they can be implemented and embedded in your company culture, and then reflected in the processes and the governance. So using this self-assessment will give you an idea of what you still need to work on or you need to adjust, and the areas where you're doing quite well, and you can just leave them as they are. The self-assessment is basically a questionnaire where we ask you questions and then capture how you have implemented these different aspects and the ethical principles. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah, at the end of once you have completed the questionnaire, based on your answer, you will get the self-assessment generates an overall score and a diagram similar to the one you see here in the slide, with a visual representation of what your scores is and where you are in the journey. Now, in the future, we are also planning to add audits to our tool set. And what this would be more of a customized service where that can be used effectively alongside the training and the self-assessment. So for now, it's just a plan for the future, but it would be a nice, ad hoc complement to all the other tools that we have as part of this TrustMark initiative. So that is it from me. Oita, do you have any comments or questions?
Yes, thank you, Valeria. So you presented the information on the training course and the self-assessment tool. So when can we expect to see these?
Well, we would love to have this ready by the end of June. That is the plan, and we would love to have early adopters so they can provide feedback on the self-assessment and so that we have this ready by the end of June. It is planned for the Q2 to be released in Q2.
All right, so what's next?
Well, the Open Voice Network is working with our partners to offer additional training courses, so especially executive training on ethics and particularly targeting large language models. Additionally, we will provide more content and guidance to organizations to assist them along their journey to adopt our ethical principles. So to keep up with all of this, you can just, check on our website, follow us on LinkedIn, and make sure you keep updated on all our initiatives.
All right, thank you, Valeria. So this would be a great time to mention our partnership with Project Voice. The TrustMark Initiative is foundational to the Ethics and Integrity Charter for Large Language-Based AI, which will be released at Project Voice 2023 in Chattanooga. So this conference will bring together a conversational AI leadership council to provide guardrails around ChatGPT and other large language model-based AI. The Open Voice Network, this is one of the things moving forward. We're proud to partner with Bradley and Project Voice with this great effort. So looking forward to that. Today is launch day for the TrustMark Initiative. Valeria has described the framework to guide the program, the ethical guidelines version 2.0 white paper, education courses, self-assessment, and maturity model in our ethical guiding principles. To help drive towards this vision and beyond, we are excited to announce the TrustMark Initiative Advisory Board, comprised of experienced and influential leaders to help us grow and achieve our goals. They will play an important role in shaping the program's direction and helping us achieve our goals. So, how to introduce our advisory board members. Nathan, could you bring up the slide, please? All right, so our advisory board members are Ashok Chris, who is president and CEO of Kaizen Technologies Incorporated, Dr. Ya Kumar Crystal, assistant professor of biomedical informatics and pediatric endocrinology at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, Brenda Leon, who's partner at BNH.ai, Bradley Metrock, as I mentioned, with Project Voice, CEO of Project Voice, and leading the effort to form a conversational AI leadership council for large language model-based AI. Laura Miller, Director of Integrity and Technology at Shadowing AI. Birgit Popp, Group Manager on Human-Machine Interaction at the Fraunhofer Institute. James Poulter, CEO and founder of Vixen Labs. Dr. Anais Rameau, Director of New Technology in the Department of Laryngology at Cornell Medical Center. Doug Rogers, Chief Security Officer at Wegmans and a member of the Open Voice Network Steering Committee. And Hans von Dam, founder at Conversational Design Institute. We are honored to have this great group of distinguished professionals to help us lead the TrustMark Initiative. So I am so excited to have the privilege to work alongside them on this important work. So joining us today is James Poulter, who is one of the members of the advisory board. James, JP, is CEO and founder of Vixen Labs. Vixen Labs and Open Voice Network have been partners for the past 2 years, and most notably, taking the pulse of the consumer via the Voice Consumer Index that was published in 2021 and 2022. So for the past 2 years of publishing the report, we're looking forward to James sharing with us what has been learned and how this has informed the work at Vixen Labs, and more importantly, what does this mean regarding the TrustMark Initiative. JP.
Thanks, Oita. Lovely to be with you all, and thanks again to John and the rest of the organisation for asking for a perspective. I hope I have some. We want to say, first of all, that the collaboration for the past couple of years around devising and scaling what the voice conversation index and looking at kind of the role that consumers currently play in this ecosystem has been really important to us, because it has been such a revealing piece of work to really understand the issues around trust in particular, and adoption of conversational technologies across voice platforms, smart speakers, mobile, and now the web. And as we look to 2023, we're excited to begin to expand the scope of that project to take in the broad sweep of conversational AI, including large language models, ChatGPT, and the other platforms that we're seeing transform the industry. I think for some time since the early days of this kind of council beginning to meet and think about the idea of a trust mark, I think it's wise that we adopt something along these lines, because it follows in the tradition of many other industries when there have been the potential for real human outcomes to be affected by a technology or an evolving business model, and voice and conversational AI poses that massive opportunity, but also potential threats as it currently stands today. And I think as John and Harry and Hans and I sat around a table in Malta just before Christmas, discussing this very initiative over possibly one or two Aperol spritzes, we kind of began to cement on this idea that there has to be something akin to the likes of the Fair Trade Initiative or the likes of the B Corp movement, where we need some form of accreditation that businesses and organizations will take upon themselves to begin to self-certify and ultimately be certified in the long term about the ethical use of voice and conversational AI. For the reason that I believe in very short order, we will see not just customers and consumers asking the questions of the businesses that they buy from. What are you doing with my data? What's going on when I talk to your chatbot? What's going on when I ask my voice assistant? But even down to the next generation of those that will enter the workforce, asking their companies and organizations, what do you do with your data? How are you going to use AI to monitor and regulate my employment with you? And these issues will become, I believe, as fundamental as the types of questions that we asked today around the kind of the carbon footprint of the companies that we work for, and of the ethical, kind of production practices that we expect of those that we buy from. And AI will be the next frontier that we have to contend with when it comes to both who we buy from, who we work for, who we're educated by, and all other frontiers in life. I think the reason that we're so excited about this initiative is that it takes a broad sweep of not only the issues that are potentially presented by AI in the most general sense. I think, Nathan, we might have some slides you might be able to kind of bring up for us at this point. But we see a couple of the three kind of big trust issues with AI overall that we are trying to contend with. And those first three big ones are well documented. I highly recommend and commend to you the work of the Oxford Ethical Institute of AI, and also the work that's come out of Harvard on this around the big three, which is the next slide, is bias, black boxes, and privacy. We know that we need to protect against both the bias that goes into these large language models, but also their potential to create bias in the feedback that they give us. We need explainability in the algorithms and models that we work with, so that we can always answer why an AI has made the decisions that it has made on our behalf, and so that we've got explainability in those models. And obviously privacy is an issue that's been well documented, something that we've seen actually over time. The worry about has come down amongst consumers. We saw this in the Voice Consumer Index in 2022, that for the first time, actually privacy concerns began to drop as people began to use voice assistants more often. I think we will see, though, that will go through another wave as we see large language models come into popular adoption in the next 12 to 24 months. And so we must continue to press on these issues. But we know that voice and conversational AI in particular has a number of its own unique issues, which we can seek to kind of contend with. And on the next slide, I would posit that there are at least three. I'm sure there are many more, but the three that we're very aware of are the next. That we have obviously issues of biometrics. We know that both in terms of our own voices as a biometric marker, but also the opportunity to create biometric markers with our voice and conversation, both our spoken voice, but also the way in which we write has the potential to be identifiable. We also have the issues of usage. particularly in the domains of synthetic media, being able to create voice artifacts, being able to create conversational artifacts using both our content and also our vocal prints, whether that's the synthetic creation of voice clones, the ethical use of those obviously is a major issue. But also beyond the commercial usage, at a personal level, the legacy that we leave behind and what our data legacy of the content that we put into training data, the content that we put into large language models, and even, yes, the legacy of those voice models that we create. These are all specific issues that will be particular to voice and conversation, and they are issues that we must also contend with as an industry. And we see this already beginning to come to bear in the commercial conversations that we're having with clients and customers at Vixen Labs, as we begin to see content being created at scale across multiple languages in synthetic models. There is already questions there about who is the owner of that voice print, who is the owner of that model, where should it live? We already have the issues of biometrics, particularly when it comes to security in particularly regulated industries like banking, healthcare, finance, etc. And so these things are already beginning to hit us. This is not a problem for the future. This is a problem for the now. And this is why we need to bring in something as strong as this initiative at this point. And whilst I'm very excited that we're able to start with what we can do as a group, which is to bring this option for people to opt in, to self-certify, I'm excited to see a future where we are able to scale these standards to such a point that they are recognized in the same breath as things like B Corp, fair trade, and the ISO standards that we kind of all strive to go after. And I know that vision is shared by the leadership across OVON, that we should be able to reach to that scale. And I'm excited to see where it will go. So I mentioned a couple of places there. If you would like to dig into some of these issues, particularly around the Trust Voice Consumer Index, obviously still very much available to you. The 2022 edition is available at the URL that's on the slide that's about to come up. Nathan, if you would, you can go and download your copy of that free. And if you've got questions and would like to delve into that further, please do get in touch. And I'm excited to say that we will be releasing this year's Voice Index, name maybe to be worked on, coming in September at the Voice of AI Summit later this year. So we're very excited to work together and forming that. And I also commend to all of you listening as part of this, that if you've got particular areas of inquiry that you're interested in us investigating this year, whether that be industry sectors, whether that be specific aspects of the usage of large language models and generative AI alongside our usual kind of trusted questions around the voice industry, please do get in touch. You can get me on email, jp@vixenlabs.co, or you can drop us info via the contact form at the same website that's on your screen now. We would love to hear from you as we seek to build out the questionnaire for this year's report. So we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks to the rest of the team for the opportunity to share some perspectives, and I very much commend the whole initiative to you guys, and I hope you'll adopt it in your own organizations very soon, as we will be doing.
All right, JP, thank you so much. The consumer index has been very well received, and especially as you know that Open Voice Network, our mission and vision is to make voice worthy, conversational AI worthy of user trust, and trust is so important, which is why we are here today launching this important initiative, and in particular the three big trust issues that you mentioned: bias, black boxes, explainability, and privacy. It resonates so much with the work across several of the Open Voice Network work groups, the Ethical Use Task Force, Privacy and Security, Remote Patient Monitoring, Architecture, Authentication, Synthetic Voice. It all just works together. And one interesting observation that I've had over the last year in particular, as we've held workshops or webinars that regardless of what the topic is, we could be talking about architecture and interoperability, and the question about, well, what about the ethical considerations of agent to agent, the trusted agent? How can you know that you're talking to something? How can you know that that is a human and not a synthetic voice? All those ethical questions. So we are so happy to have the partnership with you, Vixen Lab, and as you have heard the importance of having such a great group of advisors to help drive this program forward. So I want to acknowledge there are other members of the advisory board who are here today that I've seen, that Bradley Metcalf, Brenda Leon, Doug Rogers, Laura Miller, and Nias Rameau. We're happy. Thank you for being here, and we welcome you and look forward to as we move forward. And as always, ritual and celebration are important, and we recognize it and celebrate the work across the different groups. So today is not just about sharing with you where we're headed, but also to just look back and reflect and to appreciate the time, the energy, and the passion that so many supporters and volunteers bring to GSD, Get Stuff Done. So it really is such a pleasure to work alongside of them, and really, I don't think we do enough to celebrate and acknowledge the many people across the different work groups for what you know, continuing with your day-to-day work, but also taking the time to volunteer to help move our work forward. So again, much appreciation. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to two people who exemplify the qualities that I mentioned. Janice Mandel, Communications Advisor at the Open Voice Network, and Melanie Monique, creator and founder of Vocal Culture Garden, two people who sprinkle joy wherever they go. Janice.
On that happy note, as a member of the Ethical Use Task Force and a writer-editor on many of the Open Voice Network's research papers, I've had a unique view of TrustMark's guiding principles and how they inform the work across all of the industry groups. You can see that translating an ethical code into actions is a small but mighty step towards supporting conversational AI that puts people first and mitigates risk for businesses and organizations as well. So today we celebrate, wherever you are, raise a glass to a future that reflects all our voices. We welcome everyone to join us in this important work. We have a lot of fun. So cheers, everyone. And who better to read the TrustMark guidelines publicly for the first time out loud is a member of our Ethical Use Task Force and vocal coach, Melanie Monique. Melanie?
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Janice. Hello, hello. And I'm going to ask if the next slide could be put up of the principles. So trust is essential for conversational AI systems, which aim to create natural and meaningful interactions between humans and machines. Here at Open Voice Network, we acknowledge that everyone who contributes to or benefits from these systems has a duty to ensure that they uphold established rights and foster positive social values. The vision of trustworthy conversational AI systems consists of 6 equally important pillars, and you can see them right here on the screen: transparency, inclusivity, accountability, sustainability, privacy, and compliance. So let's dig into these pillars a little bit further, starting with transparency. Users of conversational AI systems have the right to understand how their data is being used and how any conversational AI system is making decisions. Inclusivity. Conversational AI systems should be designed to bring people in, not shut them out, and thus should be equipped as necessary to accommodate underrepresented populations as well as they do overrepresented populations. Accountability. All stakeholders working to create conversational AI systems are accountable for the process of creating them, as well as the outcomes they cause. And what of sustainability? Conversational AI systems, whether in ongoing functionality or in their development, should not compromise the economic, social, or environmental sustainability of our shared future. Privacy. Conversational AI systems should deliver utility to users within publicly stated parameters and ensure that information on users is not leveraged beyond its intended purpose. And finally, compliance. Conversational AI systems should not merely align with an abstract sense of morality and ethics, but should also comply in absolute terms with current laws and regulations. Here at Open Voice Network, we strive to design, promote, collaborate on, and implement conversational AI systems and solutions that respect these 6 principles. We invite you to join us in this commitment to foster trust and confidence to make voice worthy of user trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And in celebration and toast, recognition of the work that has gotten us this far. And I would like to acknowledge someone who's important to this work and it is traveling and not able to attend and participate in the webinar today. So I really like to acknowledge the absence of one of our key leaders, Emily Benza, who has shepherded the publication of the ethical guidelines document. So we thank her for her leadership and really wanted to at least get that out, that her work is so important to what we do moving forward. And the latest version of the ethical guidelines document 2.0 is available on the website. I believe someone put it in chat, and we'll be sending out some communications following this webinar with more informational links. So just wanted to acknowledge Emily and the work that she has done and the efforts for getting that, which is really foundational to the work that we're doing with TrustMark. And I know we said that it's always bad to name names, and again, looking at so many of you from the Ethical Use Task Force who are here and across some of the other work groups, thank you for being here. And I did want to, actually, I was so happy to see Brooke Hawkins. She, alongside Emerson Sklar, they served as the initial moderators of the Ethical Use Task Force, laying the foundation from the beginning. Before I even joined the Open Voice Network, they were involved in Janice, some of those who've been along this journey. Just thank you, Brooke, for being here and for supporting the work that we're doing. And others joining us for the first time, if you're unfamiliar with the Open Voice Network, we're so happy to see you. Nathan, next slide, please. So now that you're here, how can you help? Here we go. Follow our work. This is the link to the TrustMark website, and you can get to it really from the openvoicenetwork.org. Support the development of the TrustMark Initiative. And there are many ways you can do that by just sending us your thoughts, sign up to be an early adopter of our self-assessment and maturity model work. Just tell us about the ethical issues you and your customers are facing. What are we missing? What do we need to know about the challenges out there that you are experiencing, and making sure that we are aware of those and to be able to incorporate those into the work that we're doing. Review our white papers, review our publications, review the course. that we're putting together. And okay, and John, I would be remiss without saying, and of course, become a sponsor. Did work as a nonprofit. You know, we are here but with the benefit of sponsorship. So always happy to recognize our sponsors and the work that we're doing. Share our work with others to amplify our message. As I said, if you'd like to receive a TrustMark sticker, please send me an email and I'll put it in the chat, and we'll make sure that you have a sticker to help amplify the work where, you know, you can have it proudly on your laptop. Attend our events and join our committees and work groups. If you have any questions or need any information about how to participate, you please use the website and say contact us and ask your questions, and we'll be happy to steer you, if not towards the TrustMark work only, but there is lots of work if you are so inclined to work in architecture, privacy and security, any of our verticals, health and wellness. We look forward to having you participate. So with that, I think we are ready for Q&A. Happy to have all the panelists join us here. And are there any questions that we have, or put them in chat, or any questions we have so far?
Well, we have a couple of questions.
Alrighty.
One is from Boris Wolfson. He asks, what is the difference between black box problem and explainability?
Was this related to JP? Okay.
I was going to say, shall I go for that one? And I'll do my best, because like this is not my sole expertise area, but I think that we have two slightly distinct problems. One is that the black box issue is that obviously we are both devising of and using systems that are able to produce results without us being able to actually explain how those results have been produced. Now that is a black box problem in the sense that we are using algorithms that are making algorithmic decisions that we cannot explain. Explainability, I would say, is a broader topic area that we also need to be thinking about in terms of our use of these systems. So not just the systems themselves, but our use of those systems, in that when we deploy tools like large language models or NLU and NLP in any format, we also as individuals, as businesses and organizations, should also be able to explain our usage of them and our influence on their decision making. So that goes to things like training data that we might put in. It goes to refinement practices. It goes to RLFH, ranked learning by human, kind of intervention. So these types of kind of processes that we use when we're creating the systems. So I think that, but they are both both important issues that we should be kind of wrestling with, both in terms of holding accountable those that devise these systems. So that would be our kind of partners and friends, but also challenging at the likes of OpenAI, Microsoft, etc., where these systems are being devised and managed. And obviously there are commercial imperatives for them that they keep those things secure, and also for true security concerns. But therein lies the black box problem, that we can't always see what's going on under the hood. And then secondarily, the broader issue of explainability is something that we as community of users are also have a level of responsibility over and more agency over. And so that's how I would probably split those two apart as issues. I hope that helps.
We have another question from RJ Pikus. Does anyone know how biometrics in voice is trusted versus eye scanning?
RJ, we have some data. John Stein here. We have some data from various sources that would indicate they are roughly equal, although it's my understanding that the accuracy, the biometric identification of a user through voice can be at roughly 98%. Eye scanning, I understand, is slightly higher, but others will need to get into the details there, but that's my understanding.
And then another question from Andrew Bibian. Have this group come across applications / helped uncover nefarious applications of voice already, including LLMs? And if so, what types of settings are most prevalent?
Oita, do you want me to handle that one? Andrew, thank you. Thank you for the great
thank
question.
you for your question. I have to acknowledge that I don't know, but we will research that and get back to you. So we will get back to you on that.
And Andrew and colleagues, one thing
Yeah.
to be important, that is important to note here. And Andrew, thanks for the question, is that this organization, we're not going to be a cop on the beat. We're not going to be policing. That's not our role. That's not our intent. That's not our purpose in life. We certainly, Andrew, try and keep track of things, but that's through the press, and understanding, what's happening out there, what's going on. But no, we won't be uncovering things, so to speak, but certainly try and keeping track of things that we see and learn, because that will inform our work. I hope that makes sense.
Not a question, but a comment. I love this one, guys. It's Barney Stature. It says, trust and trust, Edward R. Murrow. To be, quote, to be persuasive, we must be believable. To be believable, we must be credible. To be credible, we must be truthful. Great summation.
All right, yes. And there are a couple of answers to that question. Recommend two-factor authentication, voice plus a code. And also our friends at Kazan Secure Voice have information too related to that. Ashok has, so we will get that information to you. Are there any other questions? We are at time, and we are the Open Voice Network, and we begin and end on time. But are there any burning questions?
I see one more. Do we have time for one more here? Are we done?
I'm sure.
It's Ella Vilner says, of course, it is great to have trustworthy AI, but shouldn't we also be careful of too much trust? Overtrust is harmful and unethical, especially in situations when the system makes risky decisions, privacy matters, and other use cases. Are the guidelines that you've talked about addressing this other end of the spectrum? And if so, how?
Yes, again, as John stated, we are providing guidelines. We are not scoring. We are not providing any scores. We are providing guidance and education and advocacy. And so in terms of trust, it is really at the core of the organizations and the entities, as our principals say, that these all stakeholders within organizations are responsible for implementing the principles and determining where is the risk. Because one of the things is, as you know, there is it's a risk assessment, really. It's the risk reward of how, as you say, it could be too strict or too loose. And so it's that really, at the end of the day, as executives and stakeholders, is you have to weigh the risk of the impact to your company, to society, to your customers. And really that's the best we can say.
Ella, we would agree that we should be careful of too much trust. And this program is a lot about assessing risk and assessing harms and verifying. So yes, we'd agree. We can't be naive and just simply be trustworthy without reason for being so.
All right, very good. With that, follow us, help us, support us. And we appreciate more than anything, your time is a valuable gift, and always never take that for granted. Any final words, John, from your?
I just want to say thank you to all, and